This long blue bridge spans a green valley, 180 acres that survive unspoiled in the heart of the world's fastest growing city, Toronto.
Yeah, I live across the street here, so coming here was like, it's almost like, like the playground in the backyard kind of thing, you know what I mean?
People from across the community of all ages, obviously especially children, but genuinely of all ages, are inspired and excited by what the Science Centre has to offer.
Museums like the ROM or AGO have static exhibits. There's a guard saying, do not touch this. The Science Centre was conceived, designed, and built to be interactive and immersive. They encourage you to take your hand and push that button. It encourages you to stand on that rubber pad and reach out, not knowing what the effect is going to be in that Van de Graaff generator. That's different than being a museum.
The traditional kind of exhibits, the kind you just look at, can't be found here. Instead, he entertains himself and has fun and learns about science by getting involved with things to crank, make, watch, push, play with, listen to, pedal, things that turn, burn, disappear, and restyle hair.
It's like the internet. When the internet kind of first came out, they had like a little computer section over there. And because like I didn't have a computer at home, they were so expensive. We used to go over here and do our little Yahoo was the chat back then.
Well, I've been going to the Science Centre for a long while now. I remember going there on weekends, every weekend, especially when I was very young. And I think one of my favorite exhibits has to be the planetarium shows, simply because that's where I really found my passion for astronomy. And just looking at a version of the sky, trying to see the planets, the stars, and being led through that immersive experience really pulled me towards the subject. And whenever I go there, I love to go towards the planetarium. Science Centre has made sure to make everything inclusive. So boys, girls, everything treated equally. Very interesting days like International Women in Science Day, where they actually bring women speakers to talk about their experiences in science and give advice to other girls trying to go into science. This year, just a couple of weeks ago, I was fortunate to actually be one of the speakers this time. I got to speak to other young girls, their parents, and talk about my experiences in science and help them form their own journey.
You've heard of the Science Centre movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, do you have any thoughts about that? Would you rather it stay here?
No, I think it should stay here. I think it should stay here. Good for the area. I don't know what else they would put here.
Dozens of people took to East Lynn Park near Riverdale to voice their support against relocating the Ontario Science Centre. The Ford government has said the aging Science Centre is becoming too costly to maintain and has put forward a plan to relocate it to Ontario Place.
Stand up against the Ford government and recognize how important that the Ontario Science Centre is, not to people in Beaches East York only or people in Toronto only, but it's the Ontario Science Centre. It's a science centre for all.
I love going to the Ontario Science Centre because I get to visit Kids Spark, where I can do science experiments and have fun at the same time. I also like going to the Space Observatory, where I can see all the stars and planets. It's like going on a space adventure.
More fallout exactly 1 week after the Ford government announced it plans to relocate the Science Centre and build housing on the land. Well, it appears they didn't consult with the owners of the land when making the decision. The only developable part of the lands is the area highlighted in light purple, which is owned by the City of Toronto and is currently the Science Centre parking lot. The TRCA land is the large green area that includes the ravine and sensitive habitats, such as a large forest and marsh, home to multiple bird and mammal species, turtles, and amphibians.
Building a better world involves the growth that we have with the experiences that are available to us. The Science Centre at a half size is not at all the same.
It's not a downtown Toronto thing, it's not an uptown Toronto thing, it's a full Ontarian thing and beyond. So let's start with a chant. The Science Centre's good to me.
Science Centre is good to me.
It's in the place where it should be.
It's in the place where it should be.
Unfortunately, this government, under Premier Ford, has distinguished itself for engaging in projects that seem to always reward friends and donors and private for-profit operations.
And the people power makes a difference, and we've seen reversals on many things, most famously the Greenbelt.
The people of Ontario have an astronomical amount of power.
You see Save Our Science Centre rally. People are out everywhere, not just at the Science Centre, but they're all over. We had a whole crew of residents from Scarborough come out. We have rallies in different ridings, and it's all the opposition parties are on the same page with this. Keep the Science Centre where it is right now.
And these two fights are interlinked, because what happened was the government, the Ford Conservatives, it got leaked out that they made a commitment to build a $450 million taxpayer-funded parking garage as part of the deal with Therma.
Keep an old building all run down, where the province is coming in and saying, I'm going to build you something unbelievable.
And guess what he found out today? That he can't necessarily do whatever he wants on there. So now he's got some other cockamamie scheme. Did anybody ask the community what they need, what they would like to see there? And what is the business case to relocate the Ontario Science Centre at enormous cost?
And they're also doing $200 million worth of infrastructure renewal at our cost. And then they're going to hand over the island, the West Island, to Therma on a 95-year lease. And so far as we know, they're not charging for it.
But I also want to emphasize, it's not the Toronto Science Centre. It is the Ontario Science Centre.
And what they did is, when all this came out, they thought, wow, we've got to have some cover. As Peter was saying, they've got to have some way to cloak this. So they said, oh, well, we'll move the Science Centre down to there. And they're not moving the Science Centre. They're going to demolish the Science Centre that we have, the beautiful Raymond Moriyama building, and they're going to build a smaller centre down at Ontario Place, and it's going to cost twice as much as fixing the maintenance backlog on the Science Centre, and it's going to be half the size.
When people come together, when they unify their voice, when they demonstrate, sign petitions, engage in all of these kinds of democratic processes, this government can and will be forced to listen. In terms of what we've been doing, I've submitted a petition already. It's garnered tens of thousands of signatures. I've asked questions in the legislature and during committee, have participated and witnessed so many different demonstrations, and they don't just happen here in Don Valley East. They happen throughout our city. All of these are increasing the momentum and sending a very strong, very unified message that we want the Science Centre to stay.